Hi, in this video, we're gonna talk about the normal distribution and its application in real-life scenarios. I am Avelram and I'm gonna be your speaker for today's video along with Miss Cassandra Burse and Miss Miraxel Leoparte. I hope that you are ready to listen all the way through. So, what is normal distribution exactly? It is often called the bell curve, and as with any probability distribution, the normal distribution describes how the values of a variable are distributed. It is considered one of the most important probability distribution in statistics because it accurately describes the distribution of values in many situations. So, paano natin ito magagamit in real-life situations? It's commonly used in scores, businesses, and financial markets, and it's crucial in real-world circumstances because it properly illustrates the distribution of values for many natural occurrences. So let's start with getting to know our formula, which is z is equal to x minus the mean over the standard deviation, wherein our z is the c value and our x is the value of any given or particular observation. The mean symbol will be the population mean or the standard average, and of course the standard deviation symbol for our population standard deviation. This formula is used to gain information about a specific or an individual data value when the variable is normally distributed. So from this formula, we can derive our formula for the value of x, which will be x is equal to mean plus z multiplied by our standard deviation. And now that we have this information, we can now try to use it and apply it to real-life situations. So for our first problem, given the normal distribution with a mean of 35 and standard deviation of 6, we are told to find the area of the following: A from 33 to 41, B from 18 to 46, C above 20, D below 37, and E above 30. So para hindi magulo ang pagsasolve natin, let's solve each problem one at a time. To start things up, we should first write the given terms that we have in order to keep everything organized. Ang sabi sa problem, we already have the value of the mean, which is 35, and also the standard deviation of 6. Now, in this case, we will have to find the z-scores of the two values that were given to us. Unahin muna natin ang z-score ng 33. So, using the formula z is equal to x minus the mean over the standard deviation, ang gagawin lang natin ay mag-substitute ng mga terms para mahanap natin ang z-score. And with that being said, the equation to find the z-score will now be z is equal to 33 minus 35 over 6. Then the next step is to subtract the terms in our numerator and we should get negative 2 over 6. Dito, pwede na nating ilagay sa calculator yung fraction is equal to 18 minus 35 over 6. Simplify the equation by subtracting the terms on the numerator, which will give us negative 17 over 6. Using a calculator, we would be able to know what the fraction's decimal value is, and that would be negative 2.83. So, tingnan natin sa z-score table ang value nito, and makikita natin na ang equivalent nito ay 0.4977. Now that we know about the z-score of 18, let's find out what's for 46. Using the same steps and procedures, first substitute the terms in the formula, and that should give us z is equal to 46 minus 35 over 6. Subtract the terms in the numerator to further simplify the equation, and we should get 11 over 6. By using a calculator, we can find out the decimal value of the fraction that we got, and the result would be 1.83. Next step is looking for its value in the z-score table, in which its equivalent is 0.4664. And with that, we got the z-scores that we need. Proceeding on our last step, pagsasamahin na natin yung z-scores na nakuha natin para malaman natin ang area sa pagitan ng 18 at 46. So, combining both z-scores together would give us a result of 0.9641, which can also be written as the probability of 18 is less than z is less than 46 is equal to 96.41%. To represent the probability between the values, ang susunod naman na step ay paggawa na ng graph. So, same as the previous graph lang, the mean is still 35 and the interval between the values is still 6. Sa ngayon naman, ang mamarkahan naman natin na values ay ang 18 at 46 at after this, makikita na natin ang area na nasa pagitan ng dalawang values na yon. So, just highlight the area between the values and the graph will be complete. Now, the problems that we solved are all about finding the area between two given values in a distribution. Hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay ganito ang klase ng problem na meron tayo, kaya naman, let's call Miss Cassandra Burse to introduce us to another type of problem solving as well as help us continue in order to finish solving the problem number 1.
Thank you, Ms. Maviel, for the introduction. Now, I'll make sure that we are all able to learn and understand how to solve the problem in number 1. Moving on to letter C. The given value that we have is 20, and we have to find the area that is above it. Using the same formula, ang unang step pa rin natin ay yung pag-substitute ng term sa formula at ang dapat na equation ay maging C is equal to 20 minus 35 over 6. Continue by simplifying the equation by subtracting the terms on the numerator, which should give us negative 15 over 6. Ilagay natin ang nakuwang sagot sa calculator para malaman natin ang decimal value nito at ang dapat na lumabas ay negative 2.5. With the help of the z-score table, we can determine the area of the decimal value, which is equivalent to 0.4938. We are not done yet with the letter C, because the z-score that we got is actually the area from 20 up until the mean score, which only means that we are still missing the other half of the distribution. We are told to get the area from 20 and above, and to be able to achieve that, we are just simply going to add 0.5 to the z-score that we got to complete the distribution. With that being said, 0.4938 plus 0.5 would be equal to 0.9938, or we can just denote it as BC greater than 20 is equal to 99.38%. Nakuha na natin ang sagot at ang kailangan na lang natin gawin ay mag-graph. The graph still contains the same values of 35 as the mean and 6 for the standard deviation. This time, we will mark the 20 lies in the values and shade everything on its right side to represent the 99.38% probability of getting 20 and above in the distribution. Moving on to letter D, the value is 37 and we're told to find the area below it. The first step still includes using the formula and getting the z-score, and we're going to substitute the terms in the formula with our given values. We should get the equation z is equals to 37 minus 35 over 6. Further, simplify the equation and subtract the terms on the numerator, which should give us a result of 2 over 6. The decimal value of our fraction in the calculator is 0.33. After that, look for its equivalent in the z-score table, and we will find out that its value is 0.1293. Katulad ng problem bago dito, hindi pa yan ang final answer natin dahil kulang pa ang area na mayroon tayo. There are still more values that are lower than 37 on the other 50% side of the distribution. So we're going to add 0.5 to completely find the area of the distribution under 37. Combining the z-score and the other 50%, we will get the result of 0.6293, or PZ is less than 37 is equals to 62.93% as a percentage of the probability below 37. Sa huling step, gagawin na natin yung graph, still using 35 as the mean and 6 as the standard deviation. We can plot the graph of the distribution. We will locate and mark 37 and then highlight all the areas on its left side to visualize the distribution of the values that is below 37. Pagkatapos nito, ay makikita na natin ang 62.93% na probability na makuha ang mga values na to. For our last problem for number 1, we have the given value of 30 and we're told to find the area above it. Ang unang step pa rin ay ang paggamit ng formula para makuha ang z-score. Substitute the terms in the formula with the values given to start solving the problem. And by doing that, we should have 30 minus 35 over 6. After that, the next step is subtracting the terms on the numerator to simplify the equation, which give us a negative sign. We should get its decimal value by using a calculator, and its equivalent would be negative 0.83. Use the z-score table to determine the area of the decimal value that we got, and we would find out that its equivalent is 0.2967. Just like the previous ones, we still have to add 0.5 to the z-score that we got in order to get the other half of the distribution that is missing. 0.2967 plus 0.5 would give us 0.7967, which we can denote as PC is greater than 30 is equals to 79.67% to represent the probability of getting a value higher than 30. Sa huling mga steps natin, gagawin na natin ang graph ng distribution. Using the same graph as the previous problems, our mean is still 35 and the standard deviation is 6. We need to find and mark the location of 30 in the values and then shade all the values on its right side to visualize the area of the values greater than 30. We can now clearly see the 79.67% probability of getting a value higher than 37. Solving problem number 1 sure took us a long time because of the different areas that we needed to find. But we did it and we've learned a lot. Madali lang ang solusyon sa mga ganitong klaseng problema basta't naiintindihan natin kung ano ang mga dapat gawin. Now that we're past problem number 1, here's Miss Miraxel Leoparte to guide us in solving problem number 2.
Thank you, Miss Cassandra, for that. Now I have another set of example for us to try. It says here that the normal distribution in an examination in statistics has a mean of 78 and a standard deviation of 4. And we are asked to look for the lowest passing grade if the lowest grade is 25%. We are also told to look for the highest grade of the upper 5%. So since dalawa ang ating need na hanapin, we need to do it one at a time.
Unahin na nating hanapin ang lowest passing grade na hindi bababa ng 25%. First is to identify our given. Here we have our mean as 78 and our standard deviation is equals to 4. It says that we need to look for the lowest passing grade, meaning we need to look for our x. Then our z is equals to 25% and is equivalent to 0.25. After identifying our given, we can now analyze our problem with the help of wrapping it using our bell curve graph. Unahin nating ilagay ang mean or average sa gitna ng values, which is 78. Now, hanapin naman natin ang value na katabi nito to the right. We can do that by adding our standard deviation to our mean. So, 78 plus ang ating standard deviation na 4 is equals to 82. So, ang value na kasunod nito ay 82. And same procedure hanggang sa dulo. 82 plus 4 is equals to 86 and 86 plus 4 is equals to 90. Now, for our values sa left side, need naman na isubtract ang standard deviation to our mean. So, 78 minus 4 is equals to 74. So, 74 ang kasunod niya. And then, same procedure hanggang sa dulo. 74 minus 4 is equals to 70. And 70 minus 4 is equals to 66. Now that our graph is complete, our next step is to determine the said 25%. We can do that by using the normal distribution table. So 25% is equivalent to 0.25. We need to look for the 0.25 or the closest number to that in our normal distribution table. As we can see, our closest is 0.2485, which is equivalent to 0.67. That will be our z-score for the formula. Now that our given is identified and complete, we can now use our derived formula for the value of x. Our formula for the value of x is the mean plus z multiplied by our standard deviation. We will substitute this using our given, and that leaves us to x is equals to 78 plus 0.67 multiplied by 4. We will then simplify this by multiplying both 0.67 and 4, and will leave us to x is equals to 78 plus 2.68. It will then be equals to 80.68. We will round this up since we will apply it to a realistic situation. And that of course will lead us to x is equals to 81. Therefore, the lowest grade of passing 25% is 81. Our last step, since we've found the value of x, we can now graph it to visualize our answer. We will put a mark on our x value, which is 81, and highlight the right side of the graph since we are still getting the passing score for the value of x, which is 81, to the highest score of possible. Moving on to our next problem in this example, we are also told to look for the highest grade of the upper 5%. We are gonna do almost the same procedure as we did in our previous problem. Since we have the same given from the previous problem, we can use the graph with the values and hanapin na lang ang missing na value ng x. Again, we will first identify our given. Here we have our mean as 78 and our standard deviation is equals to 4. It says that we need to look for the highest rate of the upper 5%, meaning our z is equals to 5% and is equivalent to 0.05. We then need to determine kung ano ang equivalent ng 0.05 sa ating normal distribution table. But since sa normal distribution, ang ating gagawin kung saan ang table ay based or malapit sa mean, ang ating hahanapin sa ating normal distribution table ay ang 45% or 0.45. As we can see, ang pinakamalapit dito ay ang 0.4505 na equivalent sa 1.65. Now that we've determined our z-score, we can perform our formula for the value of x. Our formula again in getting the value of x is the mean plus z multiplied by our standard deviation. We are now gonna substitute our given and we'll have x is equals to 78 plus 1.65 multiplied by 4. Isimplify natin by multiplying 1.65 and 4, which will be 6.6, and then we will be left with x is equals to 78 plus 6.6. And the result of 78 plus 6.6 will be 84.6. Katulad ng ginawa natin kanina, i-round off natin ang ating sagot na 84.6 to 85 since this is applied in reality. Therefore, the highest grade of passing 5% is 85. Finally, we've come to our last step, which is graphing. We can use our graph from the previous problem with our highlighted 25% answer and i-mark na lang natin ang point ng passing 5%, which is 85, and that's it. It surely took us a long time to solve this problem dahil sa ibang procedure nito from the first example. But if you truly understand our lesson, madadalian din kayo for sure. And with that, our video comes to an end. I hope you learn a lot about normal distribution and their application in real life from this video. Once again, we are your hosts, Miraxel Leoparte.
Maviel Ram.
And Cassandra Yvonne Bursa, thank you for tuning in.